Okay, so let's unpack this. Imagine you're looking at a computer screen. You're floating in, the dead silence of space, safely tucked away on a ship, and you're watching a broadcast from Earth. The signal is grainy, maybe a little distorted, but the image is clear enough.
Yeah.
You see this young man inside a church. He's terrified. He's on his knees, reciting the Lord's Prayer, "Deliver us from evil."
Right.
And just as he gets to the line, "Thy kingdom come," this shadow stretches over him.
Right.
A long, elongated biomechanical shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And then just static. The prayer isn't answered.
Or maybe it is just not by the God he was talking to.
Exactly.
It is a profoundly chilling image to start with. And frankly, it sets the stage perfectly for where we're going today. We aren't just talking about a creature feature, some simple bug hunt.
No, not at all.
We are diving into a story about the absolute end of the world, about military madness and just the desperate, clawing struggle to survive when humanity has been knocked off the top of the food chain.
Exactly. Today, we are doing a deep dive into Aliens. Nightmare Asylum, the novel by Steve Perry. This is book 2 in the series, adapting the Dark Horse comics. And look, if you thought the first story was intense, this one it takes the dial and rips it off the console.
It really does.
We're talking about a universe where Earth, our home, the cradle of humanity, has been overrun. It's not just some colony on the frontier anymore. It's the homeworld.
Which changes the stakes completely.
It does. And the source material we have today is an audiobook transcript that details the journey of 3 survivors who are, well, they're really going through it.
Going through it is, putting it mildly, what immediately jumps out from the source materials is the atmosphere. It is relentlessly grim. It's claustrophobic. You have these 3 characters, Wilkes, Billy, and Bueller, trapped on a robot ship, just drifting through the vacuum. And the text really emphasizes that they are fighting a losing battle. This isn't a story about winning a war.
No.
It's about the ethics of survival when you have, for all intents and purposes, already lost everything.
And the mission of this deep dive is to really get inside their heads, but also inside the head of the antagonist, General Spears. Because, man, we have to talk about General Spears.
Yeah, we do.
He has this grand plan that is just absolutely terrifying. He thinks he can train the Xenomorphs. He thinks he can turn the ultimate predator into a toy soldier.
He believes he can weaponize the very thing that is driving humanity to extinction. And it raises so many uncomfortable questions about hubris, about the nature of warfare, and, specifically about utilitarianism. This idea that the ends justify the means.
Right.
If the end is saving the human race, is there any means that is too horrific to justify? Spears doesn't think so.
And that is the big question hanging over this whole discussion, isn't it? So let's jump right into it. Section 1. The source material calls this the drift and the dynamic. We start on this robot ship. The setting is described so vividly. The steady drone of the gravity drives vibrating like a deep-throated musical instrument. It sounds almost hypnotic, doesn't it? But like in a really creepy way.
Yeah. It totally creates a sense of suspended animation.
Right.
They are in a literal and a metaphorical limbo. You have Wilkes, who is this scarred colonial Marine. He is the archetype of the survivor, but he's broken.
Completely.
He is cynical, protective, but the text mentions he views himself as living on borrowed time. He feels like he should have died years ago on LV-426.
Yeah.
Then you have Billy, a young woman who survived an infestation on the Rim. She is struggling with some serious trauma, essentially growing up in a war zone.
And then there's Bueller, or Mitch. Now, this is where it gets really interesting to me. Bueller is an android, synthetic, but he's not in good shape.
Not at all.
The text says he was torn in half in a previous encounter, so he's functioning from the waist up, mounted on this makeshift cradle or cart. It's such a striking visual, this half-man, half-machine just dragging himself around.
And that physical state, it just perfectly parallels his internal state. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating dynamics in the book, the relationship between Billy and Bueller.
Yeah, let's get into that.
The source material is very explicit about Billy's conflict here. She is in love with him.
But hold on, is it real love? Or is it just like a serious case of trauma bonding? Because the text dives into her internal monologue, and it is rough.
It's brutal.
She thinks about the vermin plumbing inside him. That is such a gross, visceral way to describe the person you supposedly love. She calls the wires and hydraulics worms.
That phrasing is crucial. vermin plumbing. It suggests that intellectually she knows he is a machine. She knows that if she cuts him open, she's not going to find a heart. She'll find servos and fluid lines.
Right.
But emotionally, he's the only thing that has treated her with kindness in a world of monsters. So she is constantly warring with herself. Does she love him, or does she love the programming he was given to be passable as human?
And Bueller has to know this, right? He's not oblivious.
No, and that is the real tragedy of it. It's the classic Pinocchio problem, but with this dark cyberpunk twist. The source text mentions that Buell was designed to be a passable human. He simulates emotions. But the tragedy is that he is self-aware enough to know the difference. He knows he isn't real in the biological sense, and that self-awareness creates this massive barrier between him and Billy. He feels guilty for letting her love him because he feels like he's tricking her, even though his feelings, whatever they are, seem genuine.
It's just heartbreaking. You have these two damaged people, well, one person and one synthetic, clinging to each other while watching the end of the world on TV.
Exactly.
And speaking of which, let's go back to those broadcasts from Earth. We mentioned the church scene, but there's more, isn't there? The source describes a scene in a classroom that really stuck with me.
Yes, the classroom scene. The broadcasts serve as this window into the apocalypse. They're stuck on this ship, safe for the moment, but they are witnessing the extinction of their species in real time. The source describes a rotting corpse in a schoolroom, maggots, the whole works. And above the bodies, someone has spray painted, Darwin estas correcto. Darwin was right.
Survival of the fittest. And in this case, humans, we aren't the fittest. The xenomorphs are.
Precisely. That graffiti is a thematic anchor for the whole story. It sets up the central conflict between biological evolution, the perfect organism that is the alien and human technological arrogance.
Yeah.
The alien in that church scene is described as a dim, fuzzy shadow that just turns into a nightmare. It punches through the praying man's skull with its inner jaw. It's brutal, efficient, and completely indifferent to human faith or suffering.
It proves that nature doesn't care about your prayers. It only cares about your biomass.
Exactly.
It's terrifying because it's so cold. But the horror isn't just on the screen, is it? It turns out they aren't alone on the robot ship. They start noticing things. A smell.
The smell of acid and burning cable insulation, that specific detail, that acrid smell, is a hallmark of the alien presence in these stories. It's the olfactory warning that you are about to die.
So they go investigate the aft cargo hold, and what they find is, well, it's bad.
It's very bad.
They find 4 hypersleep chambers. The people inside are dead. But not just dead, they were used as incubators. The aliens hatched, ate the hosts, and escaped into the ship.
And you have to notice the implication there. Someone put infected humans on that ship on purpose.
It wasn't an accident.
No, they were smuggling the embryos. It's a great piece of foreshadowing for the military corruption we're about to see. But right now, on the ship, the genre shifts from this quiet psychological drama to a claustrophobic hunt.
It turns into a firefight in the cargo hold.
Yeah.
Wilkes has his carbine, and he manages to kill one.
Yeah.
But here is the problem with shooting an alien on a spaceship, and I feel like people always forget this.
The acid blood.
The acid blood. You shoot it, it bleeds, and the hull starts to melt.
Exactly. It is a tactical nightmare. The source material describes the acid eating through the deck, triggering alarms. If you kill the monster, you might depressurize the ship and kill yourself. It forces them to act fast and be extremely precise.
Which leads to what I think is the highlight of this section, Billy's EVA, the extravehicular activity.
Oh, the scene is fantastic.
So they flush one alien out, or they think they do, but there's still one left. And it's outside the ship. It's clinging to the hull.
Which really shouldn't be possible, physiologically speaking, for a biological entity to survive in a hard vacuum for long. But these creatures are just incredibly resilient. They can hibernate or something.
So Billy puts on a pressure suit and goes out there with magnetic boots.
Can you just imagine the tension? Clomping along the hull of a ship in deep space, hearing nothing but your own breathing, knowing a monster is out there waiting for you.
And she finds it hiding in the docking thruster.
It's a brilliant tactical move on her part. She realizes she can't outfight it hand-to-hand or claw-to-claw, so she lures it, or rather catches it in the thruster tube, and then just triggers the engine.
Fried it. Score another one for the good guys, as Wilkes says. It shows that Billy isn't just a victim anymore. She's a survivor. She's learning to fight back.
It is a crucial step in her character arc. She stops being the traumatized child from the rim and starts becoming a warrior. Which is fortunate, because where they are going to need every ounce of fight they have.
Right. So they survive the trip, they arrive at their destination, and this is where the story shifts from, like, survival horror in space to military thriller. They land at an asteroid base called Third Base.
Third Base is a terraforming colony that has been converted into a military stronghold. It's got atmosphere plants pumping air into these huge underground caverns. It's bleak, industrial, and rigid. And it is commanded by General Thomas A.W. Spears.
Spears. Let's talk about him. The source describes him as having a powerful build, covered in tattoos, a screaming eagle, colonial marine emblem, and he's always smoking these illegal Jamaican Lonsdale cigars.
The cigars are a massive status symbol. In a world where resources are scarce and everything is rationed, smoking a luxury item like that just screams, I am in charge and the rules do not apply to me. It establishes his narcissism immediately.
Totally. But I want to push back on something. It's easy to look at a guy like Spears and just say, he's the villain. But let's look at the scoreboard for a second. Earth is overrun. Humanity is losing. Conventional tactics failed. Is Spears actually crazy, or is he just the only guy willing to do the math?
That is the uncomfortable question Perry forces us to ask. The text gives us this backstory to explain his worldview. Spears, at 9 years old, killing a bully named Jericho Axe with a baseboard scraper.
Yeah, that story.
Most people would say that's a sign of sociopathy. Spears views it as his first lesson in asymmetric warfare. He realized that when you are smaller and weaker, you don't fight fair, you escalate to lethal force immediately.
Right. And he's applying that playground logic to the Xenomorphs.
Yeah.
If humanity's the bully getting beaten up, the aliens are the scraper, he wants to use the ultimate weapon against them.
Exactly. But here is the flaw in his logic and where the real insight of the story lands. Spears confuses control with compliance.
Say more about that.
He has a captured alien queen in a glass-walled room. He uses a flamethrower to threaten her eggs. If a drone misbehaves, he burns an egg. He thinks he's domesticated the wolf.
But he hasn't.
No, the source makes it clear. He hasn't tamed them. He's just holding a very, very fragile leash.
It's psychological warfare applied to a bug. But the cost. Let's talk about the cost. To get the eggs, you need hosts. And Spears doesn't have a supply of convicts or enemies. So who does he use?
His own troops. And civilians. This is the darkest part of Third Base. Wilkes and Dilly find a room where 10 humans are webbed to the wall, just waiting to be infected. Spears calls them redundant.
Redundant. That word chills me to the bone. He looks at his own soldiers and decides, you are worth more to me as meat for the grinder than as a soldier. It's the ultimate ends justify the means argument, but taken to a psychotic extreme.
And that brings us to Section 3, the Tame Army. We have to visualize this scene because it is pure surrealism. You have these biomechanical nightmares creatures that are essentially walking death, and Spears has them lined up for inspection. He's using something called pulse paint.
Which is what? Exactly, like glow-in-the-dark paint.
Basically, it's a microencapsulated radioactive tritium. It glows. He is literally spray painting jersey numbers on the monsters. Squad green, squad red. He's trying to impose military order on a biological infestation.
The image of a general patting a xenomorph on the head like a golden retriever. That's arguably scarier than the violence. It shows how completely delusional he is.
It is delusional. He projects his own military values onto them. He calls them the chosen. It's a cult of personality, but his disciples are insects. He genuinely believes they understand him, that they share his fervor for the core.
But not everyone is drinking the Kool-Aid. We have the subplot of the deserters. Renew, Peterson, and Magruder. They try to escape, stealing a crawler to get to the air processing plant.
They think if they can just get away from Spears, they'll be safe, but they run right into the wild infestation. The air plant is already infested. They find these resin sculptures on the walls, which is just a fancy way of saying the aliens have moved in and redecorated.
And they get ambushed.
It's a total slaughter. But the twist is that Spears finds the survivor, Magruder. Now, a normal commander might court-martial a deserter, maybe execute him.
Right, a firing squad or something.
Spears, he feeds him to the aliens.
He just watches.
He literally watches as the aliens tear him apart. He uses it as a lesson for his other troops. This is what happens to cowards. It really cements that Spears is just as much a monster as the things he's breeding, arguably more so.
Because the aliens act on instinct.
Right. Spears acts on calculated cruelty.
But there is one voice of reason in all this madness. Major Powell.
Powell is the perfect foil to Spears. The source says he wanted to be a priest or a medic. He's a conscientious objector trapped in a uniform. He represents the old world morality. He knows this is wrong, but he's paralyzed by the chain of command.
Until Wilkes and Billy show up. They're the catalysts, right? They convince Powell to form an alliance. The plan is simple, or simple in concept anyway. Stop Spears from launching his alien army back to Earth. Because if he takes those things to Earth and he loses control, it's game over for whatever is left of humanity.
And they get their chance in Section 4, the mutiny. A magnetic storm hits the planetoid, grounds all the ships, Spears is stuck out at the air plant, and Powell is in the main base. It's the perfect window of opportunity.
So Wilkes and Billy rally the troops. It turns into a civil war on the base. Spears' loyalists versus Powell's mutineers. They try to shoot down Spears' hopper when he tries to return.
But Spears is a tactician. He's always one step ahead. He anticipates the ambush. He sends a drone-piloted decoy ship.
Oh, clever.
Wilkes and the rebels blow it out of the sky thinking they've killed the general, but Spears lands secretly near the heat sinks.
And then he does the unthinkable. To retake his own base, Spears releases the Queen.
He uses a remote detonator to blow the hatch of the egg room. He intentionally unleashes the infestation into his own headquarters. It is scorched earth tactics. He would rather destroy the base and everyone in it than let a mutiny succeed.
This leads to just absolute chaos.
Right.
The battle for the base, the aliens are running amok in the corridors, and Spears' troops, the ones with him, they use this tactic called spookies. Can you explain how that works?
This is a great detail from the source that shows how well-trained Spears' men are. Spookies refers to their night vision gear. So Spears' troops cut the lights to the corridors. The mutineers naturally turn on their night vision goggles to see in the dark. Then Spears' troops flash the lights back on at full intensity.
Oh, that is brutal. If you're wearing night vision and someone turns the lights on, it's as a flashbang. You're completely blinded.
It whites out their vision completely. While the rebels are reeling, blind, and confused, Spears' men and the aliens move in. It's a massacre.
Amidst this chaos, we get a deep dive into Wilkes' psychology. He explains the Doc Holliday syndrome. I love this part because it explains why he's still alive after all this.
Yes. Like the historical figure Doc Holliday, who was dying of tuberculosis and therefore took risks no sane man would take, Wilkes feels he is living on borrowed time. He believes he is effectively already dead.
So he has no fear.
Exactly. Fear makes you hesitate. Hesitation gets you killed. Wilkes doesn't hesitate because he has already accepted the outcome, and that makes him incredibly dangerous in a fight.
Unlike Powell, who hesitates constantly.
Yeah.
But tragedy strikes the group in Section 5. We have to talk about Bueller. This part hurt.
This is the emotional core of the climax. We have this ambiguous scene. Maybe it's a flashback, maybe a hallucination induced by stress of Billy and Bueller being intimate, and it turns into a nightmare of him being torn apart. But the reality is just as sad.
Bueller stays behind. He realizes they can't all make it. He stays in the life support center to try and slow Spears down.
He has a video call with Billy. A goodbye. He admits he can't break his programming to save himself if it means hurting humans. But he urges them to run. He confesses that despite his love, he knows he isn't truly human.
It's a moment of supreme self-sacrifice.
It is. By choosing to die for them, he proves he is more human in spirit than Spears ever could be.
It's just devastating. Billy has to leave him. She, Wilkes, and Powell make a run for the hangars. They're trying to stop Spears from leaving with the aliens. And this is where we get the disguise scene. It's so weirdly tactical.
It is a desperate ploy. They need to get past some guards. Billy strips naked, feigning madness or seduction to distract the soldiers.
And it works.
It works because the soldiers are so shocked to see a naked woman in the middle of a war zone. It disrupts their ODA, loop, observe, orient, decide act. It buys Wilkes the split second he needs to knock them out.
It shows just how far they're willing to go. So they get to the hangar. The cargo ship MacArthur is there, loaded with aliens. Spears is prepping the command ship, the Jackson, and then Powell, poor Powell.
The scene just encapsulates the failure of the old world. Powell tries to pull rank on a sentry. He thinks the uniform still means something. He thinks laws still apply.
But they don't.
No. The sentry is confused. Wilkes fires to save Powell, but the sentry has a dying reflex. His finger tightens on the trigger.
And Powell's head. The source has exploded like a watermelon. Just like that, the conscience of the rebellion is just gone. It's sudden, it's messy, and it's completely pointless.
It leaves Wilkes and Billy alone. They try to hack the ship's hatch, but Spears is one step ahead again. He has concussion grenades hidden in the lock.
Boom. They get stunned. They wake up captured. But Spears, he doesn't kill them. Why not just finish it?
Arrogance. Pure, unadulterated arrogance. He wants to be the magnanimous victor. He leaves them stunned on the hangar floor. He assumes they will die when the base is abandoned to the wild aliens. He wants them to watch him leave.
He wants an audience.
He leaves them to their fate and lifts off.
But he made a mistake. He underestimated them. Or maybe he just underestimated their sheer refusal to die. Because Section 6 is the stowaways all over again.
Wilkes and Billy wake up, but they aren't on the hangar floor. They somehow managed to scramble onto the MacArthur, the cargo ship full of aliens, just before it lifted off.
Oh, man. So let's paint this picture. Spears is piloting the command ship, the Jackson. He is towing the MacArthur with a cable. He destroys the remaining ships on the asteroid to prevent pursuit. So Wilkes and Billy are trapped on a ship full of frozen monsters being towed by a madman back to Earth.
And it is a grim journey. Spears cuts the gravity to save fuel, so they are floating, basically swimming through the air in zero-G. They find functioning sleep chambers and go under for the journey.
Fast forward to the awakening. They are near Earth. The ship is decelerating. There's this quiet, intimate scene in the shower. And I want to be clear, this isn't a romance novel shower scene at all.
No, it is a scene of survival. Wilkes and Billy are washing away the cryosickness. It is a moment of vulnerability. Wilkes realizes the age gap. He saved her when she was 10. They are two broken people, the only allies each other has left.
They're washing off the grime of the nightmare they just escaped.
Only to realize they're heading into a bigger one.
Because they can't control the ship. It's slave to Spears' computer. If they land on Earth, Spears will just offload his monsters and it's all over.
So they come up with a final, desperate plan, the EVA idea. They are going to put on spacesuits. They are going to jump out of the MacArthur during deceleration.
Think about the physics of that. They're going to try to float across the void between two moving ships and board Spears' command ship mid-flight.
The stakes are, well, they're astronomical. If they miss, they float in space forever. If they succeed, they have to fight a general and his elite guard on his home turf.
It is a suicide mission. But it's the only card they have left to play.
It is.
And while they are planning this insane jump, we cut to Spears one last time. And this is where we see just how far gone he really is.
He is in his cabin. He's dressing in his full dress, uniform, gold braids, sword, antique revolvers. He is fantasizing. He imagines he is talking to Stonewall Jackson.
Wow.
He believes he's about to land at Gettysburg or Waterloo. He thinks he's starting the historical reconquest of Earth. He's completely detached from reality.
He's not seeing it for what it is.
Not at all. He smokes his final cigar. It is symbolic. He is burning his bridges. He is consuming the last luxury. He is ready for glory. He doesn't see the horror he is unleashing. He only sees his own legend.
He is the hero of his own story, even if he is the villain of everyone else's.
Absolutely.
And that's where the source material leaves us. With this incredible cliffhanger, two humans floating in the void armed with carbines about to crash a madman's homecoming party.
It really brings the themes into sharp focus, doesn't it? Monsters versus men. Who is the real monster here? Is it the alien, which kills to survive and propagate? Or is it General Spears, who breeds them, tortures them, and sacrifices his own humanity for power?
I think the answer is pretty clear. Spears is terrifying because he's us. He's human ingenuity turned wicked. He's what happens when you decide that winning is more important than what you are winning.
And then there is the whole artificial humanity theme, Bueller's arc. He was more humane, more self-sacrificing than the humans who built him. Yet he was so tragically limited by his mechanical nature. He couldn't transcend his programming, but he pushed it as far as it could possibly go.
And finally, survival trauma. Wilkes and Billy, they aren't heroes in the, Marvel sense. They are just trying to cope. They are damaged, they are scared, but they just keep moving.
That is the core of the Aliens universe, really. It isn't about winning. It is about enduring. It is about not letting the darkness win today.
So here's the final provocative thought for you listeners. Spears believes that victory is the only thing that matters. He doesn't care about the cost in human lives. In a war against extinction, is he right? Does the end justify the means when the means involves breeding the very monsters that destroyed your civilization?
Or do you just become the thing you hate? It is the ultimate ethical dilemma. If becoming a monster is the only way to defeat a monster, have you actually saved humanity? Or have you just replaced one predator with another?
That is something to mull over tonight. Maybe leave a light on. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Stay safe out there.